Today I'm going to be filming a walk around of my 1991 Mitsubishi 3000GT VR-4. So for those of you who don't know, the VR-4 was the highest trim level of the 3000GT. And so it included twin turbo, all-wheel drive, all-wheel steering, active aero, and a lot of other features that the other models didn't have. The VR-4 actually stands for viscous real-time all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive, excuse me. But yeah, this car is in pretty good shape. Like overall, very nice. It was missing the Mitsubishi emblem when I very first picked it up. I think the previous owner just took it off because it was getting a little beat up. But I replaced that, and there are a few little paint chips on the front, but you can barely see them, like there's one there. But yeah, other than that, the fog light has a few chips on this side. The one on this side is pretty okay. On this car, the front arrow does work, which is pretty rare, and I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, it still has the factory rims, but they were just painted black. The previous owner had that done, but they were done professionally, so they do look pretty nice, and I think they fit the scheme of the car pretty well. And the windows are also tinted, so between the black rims, the tinted black windows, I think the scheme of this car is pretty good looking. But yeah, other than the few little chips on the front, there's a few on the top. But overall, the paint, especially for being 30 years old, is in above average condition. Here's the back. This antenna still works. It still folds up and down freely, doesn't need any help. And this car does have a cat back exhaust, so it does sound good. But it's not a full new exhaust, just cat back. But other than that, the back is still in very good condition. And I picked this car up from California, and it was a California car all its life. And I actually live in northern Utah, but I'm not planning to drive it in the winter. But there is not a speck of rust under the car. It's in immaculate shape, especially for how old it is. I think it's one of the cleanest examples of the VR-4 out there. You can see twin turbo right there. But yeah, that's a walk around. Pretty uneventful just because the whole thing is in pretty good shape on the outside. And I'll show you under the hood real quick before I get to the inside. And the pistons that hold the hood up, they do still hold it up, but I've noticed sometimes maybe when it's warm or when it's cold, the hood doesn't stay up all the way, so I might need to replace those eventually. But other than that, the hood liner was replaced. On a lot of these cars, it's gotten kind of beat up and shredded just from being old, but this one's replaced, so that really cleans it up. And then also, the covering right here has been recoated, and it's starting to get a little chip there, but I've seen a lot worse. And all of the lines, some of these look like they've been replaced, and some of them have, because this does have a brand new radiator, which is very nice. The previous owner said the old one was starting to get cracked, so he had the radiator replaced. It was just a factory one, not upgraded, but still a new radiator, so I can't complain. But yeah, all of the lines, they don't look like they're in bad shape or anything. Everything under here is actually in very good condition, in my opinion. And you can just barely see one of the turbos down here. I'll see if I can get the camera to see it. It's right there. You can just barely see it. The one in the back you can't even see. But yeah, everything is very clean under here. I'm very impressed by it. And yeah, everything works in that regard. I'll close the hood. And I have put new windshield wipers on it. Just the old ones are starting to get a little beat up. And I couldn't see. We went through a rainstorm and it was kind of hard to see, so I got new windshield wipers on the front. I haven't replaced the back one yet, but I don't use that one as much. And now I'll get to the inside. So the inside is also in very good condition. The door panels aren't faded or cracking or anything. Everything is in very good shape here. And the driver's seat, I'm very impressed. There's minimum wear, especially for being 30 years old, just the age of the whole thing. There's a tiny bit of wear starting to develop there, but overall, very good shape. The passenger seat is in even better condition. You can see right there, no rips or tears or anything, along with the back seats. They're all in very nice shape. And the steering wheel and dash do have covers on them, but they aren't damaged. It's just to preserve the car. The previous owner had those put on there. So yeah, there's no damage there. It's just to keep them nice, just in case it has to be outside. But I don't plan on leaving this car outside for extended periods of time. And this car only has 81,925 miles, which is very impressive, especially given the age. I got it with 79,000 miles, but the trip from California back to Utah brought it up a little bit. And then I've just been driving it since it's so fun to drive. It's actually my first manual car that I've actually driven, like, a lot, that is. But yeah, the inside, you have your defrost button right there and electronically controlled suspension. That's what ECS stands for, which stiffens the suspension or automatically does it if you go above a certain mile per hour. But yeah, and then over here you have your fog light button, and your this pops up the headlights if you need to clean them or something without turning them on. Like, I'll show you here. Yeah, it just pops them up. But then as for the steering wheel, one of my favorite things about the steering wheel is that it has steering wheel controls, and it's 30 years old, which amazes me. The people who designed this car were really on top of it. So you can control your volume, your radio station, mute it, and then yeah, all that. And then here you have your hazard switch, and then just the vents. And this climate control thing, I actually had to send down to a place in Houston to get refurbished, since the screen on these cars have a tendency to just go off, and they won't come back on no matter what. So I send it down to them, and I highly recommend it. They did a great job. It works great. It's Texas Cluster Repair. I'll put their link in the description. But yeah, so everything works. I'll turn the key on here. Turn it on. So you can see all of the functions work. The temperature, the circulation modes, and you can put it on auto if you want. The defrost. And then one of my favorite things about the climate control screen are the little animations it gives you when you change the mode. The little arrows. I just love it. And then I'll turn that off. But yeah, this car, usually it has a buzzer when the key is turned on and a door is open. But I got back behind the radio just when I replaced the climate control screen and unplugged that buzzer, just because it was driving me nuts, because it would never turn off when your door was open. So the buzzer doesn't buzz anymore. And then here's the switch for the active arrow and also your cruise control switch. And then you had a power outlet right there. And there's also another one right here, which has the cigarette lighter in it, even though I'm never going to use that. And then another one of my favorite things about this car is you have your ashtray right here, right? And the engineers actually put in a little light. I'll turn the ambers on right here. And there's a little light that lights up your ashtray, which I just think is really neat. And then I'll take this out. You can pop it out, obviously. There's the little light in the ashtray. And it's like, you'd never even need that, but they put it there anyway. And it's just so amusing to me. And here's the lumbar support. The driver's seat has lumbar support, and it also has different electrical functions to just move it up. And you have to manually move it forward and adjust the backrest, but that's fine. It still has some electrical features, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, so there's that. And then in your center console here, we'll pop it open, you have cup holders. But the weird thing for me that I'm still getting used to is that you need to drive with this up when you have cups in the cup holders, which is kind of weird, but you get used to it after a while. And then if you need more room in here, the cup holders pop out. So you have a little more room. Put those back. But yeah, that's the center console. Overall, above average condition interior, or great condition interior, actually. And yeah, so that's an overview of the interior. Everything's in pretty good shape. And I'll get to the lift back here. The switch is down here along with the gas cap switch. I'll pop that. Go back here. So yeah, there's quite a bit of room in this car. It actually surprised me how much room there was. But yeah, the one thing that doesn't work, this little light doesn't come on. But again, I can't complain just because of the amazing condition of the rest of the car. The previous owner did replace this cover that covers the trunk when the lift back is closed. And yeah, it was getting a little beat up. But this one's in pretty nice shape. It's brand new. And yeah, so not too much in the back. There's a spare tire under here. There's the spare tire along with the factory toolkit, which just has a few little tools and a wrench. And this car also has locking lug nuts, which kind of annoy me, but it has them. And then also, another cool thing about this car, the rear windshield washer top-off cap is right here. But when you open it, it has a little checker. So you can check the level of your windshield washing fluid, which I think is pretty cool. Just, again, give credit to the people who engineered this car. It's crazy what they did. But yeah.